Let's welcome back our Lightning Empress finally in Arena.
7K Dreamer, please.
Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. We are finally having Mythical Awakened Eileene back in Arena. I know she's a very important unit in PvE and we have been using her in PvE for so long. So this will be an interesting twist to see how she performs in PvP now. Okay, so we're gonna look at her skill set first. For her passive, she increases physical attack by 30%, 50% in PvE. She also increases critical rate now for all allies by 20%, and she revives with 30% HP. So actually her passive didn't really change from her awakened form, but she now has an increased crit rate for all allies by 20%. So this actually helps to offset any physical attack decrease from Gallidus, because Gallidus does have a skill that decreases your physical attack, and this could help to buffer that, and so you keep your damage output still pretty high. And for her skills, we're gonna look at that when she uses them. This is her bottom skill. She deals 500% physical damage to 2 enemies and has a 70% chance to electrify them for 3 turns. Okay, 3 turns is pretty significant. If you think about it, it can effectively lock down your enemy if they do not have electrify resist traits. Until she uses her next skill, I'm going to talk about my team. I actually took out Rin because I realized that none of my other heroes actually benefited from Rin's passive, and I know Rin is very strong still, but I felt that maybe I can substitute with Eileene because Eileene is definitely going to buff all the heroes on my team. Here is Eileene's Awakened skill. She deals 250% on all enemies, has a 50% additional crit rate, and also has a 50% chance to electrify targets for 3 turns. Again, the 3 turns is super significant, and as you can see, 3 of the enemies are effectively on lockdown, so I can definitely go in and start slaying them. The top skill, however, she didn't really use in this match. The top skill actually deals 300% on 4 enemies, has an additional 30% crit rate, and also decreases buff duration by 1 turn. The buff duration decrease is actually pretty useful if you think about it, because in PvE context, your team really didn't have a buff duration reducer, and for cases like Heavenly Stairs where you could actually use some buff duration reduction, this could come in very handy. So we're going to look at her build now. Here she's using her bottom skill again. I love the animation so much. She manages to electrify one of the enemies, which is pretty good. So for her weapons, I've given her crit rate and lethal rate. Okay, so crit and lethal. You could give her double crit. Double crit will actually buff the debuff cast rate, and this will give you more electrify. Crit and lethal is also viable if you want to give her slightly more damage output. Although I personally don't see her on the same level as the other heavy damage dealers like Rin and Skull and Zahara, so going with lethal will actually reduce a small percentage of debuff cast rate for your Eileene. So it really depends on what you want to go for here. But as you can see later on in the video, the damage wise from Eileene is pretty decent, maybe because of the crit and lethal buffs. Okay, so for armor, I've given her double HP. You can actually give her HP block. These will be the best to give her because it helps to increase her sustenance and gives her more bulk, especially after she revives. Healing some HP after she revives is definitely going to be very beneficial because she only revives with 30% HP. So if you can actually stall out the match for a little longer, if she does die and then revive, you could get her health back to a very good amount so that you can preserve her buffs. Remember that Eileene is a passive based hero, so keeping her on the field as long as you can is definitely going to help you in the long run. For her jewels, I've given her blue jewels, okay, crit rate, lethal rate, and increased awakening gauge. For crit rate and lethal rate, these are definitely basically just to increase her damage multipliers. As you can see here, she does pretty decent damage and effectively electrifies 3 enemies right there. So that's very good. I can again proceed to slay the enemy. And for the increased awakening gauge, it's really because her awakened skill, as you saw just now, is really strong, and it doesn't matter if it was used early or late in the match. In fact, the earlier the better, because you can effectively, electrify your enemies and maybe get even more skills in. And even if it was used in the later part of the match, it can also be very good. So it really depends on what you prefer. For the accessory, I've given her Willful Ring and Gallidus Madness for extra damage. You could actually use Isabella's Vigor for her so that she heals more after reviving. As I said, it's pretty crucial. So healing is a way to go as well if you want to keep her around. But for me, I decided to try the Gallidus Madness for her. I think it could go either way for her, damage wise or bulk wise, okay? For her traits, I've given her block rate and freeze resist. Probably not the most ideal combination, okay, because freeze resist is a must in the meta for sure, but I will probably throw in electrify resist as well when more Eileenes come into play. Block rate here is really just for bulk, but since mine isn't exactly built with block, it probably isn't the best. And here we face an Eileene and she managed to electrify 3 of my heroes, which is not the most ideal, and that is why I say electrify resist could come in very handy, and it's definitely gonna play a part in the meta in the upcoming days. Okay. Also, I could also give her increased skill use chance so that she's able to use more skills, and you know, that could be a game changer for you as well. Thankfully, my Zahara was not electrified, so he managed to kill off a lot of the enemies. And here we end off with Gallidus, I believe. Yeah. So it was a beautiful finish. For the 4th match, we're gonna talk about her power and bulk as well as synergy with other heroes. So to summarize everything, she does have decent bulk. She is not the strongest damage dealer, but her role is an offense buffer and a support hero. So notice how she can synergize with every hero on my team because all of them are physical weapon users. Crit rate buff is especially useful too for Zahara, Gallidus, and even Evan in this case. Unfortunately, revive was nerfed 2 updates ago, so 30% revive could be very tricky, especially in times like this when your enemies are starting to hit harder and harder. 30% revive may not be sufficient in that case, so we may need to look into giving her more healing, as I mentioned earlier, or you know, just trying to pack as much bulk on her as possible. And if you guys have been observing how much damage my heroes have been dealing, they are all really taking in from Eileen's buff. So even if Eileene doesn't use any skill, she is still a very good hero to have around just for her passive. And I think that is what makes her a really important hero, be it in PvP or PvE. In PvE, we will definitely be using her wherever you use Shane. Still the same usage for her. However, her additional crit rate buff now actually lets you free up a slot so that you may not need to use Lina in that case, or you may not need to use another crit rate buffer like Ace. So this could change things up for the PvE meta for sure. Players could actually be using more useful heroes and creating more efficient teams. You know, that could be a thing. So for the final match of this video, we're gonna just focus on the match itself. I think my review, you have heard enough, you kind of know how to build her now, you kind of know why she is important and how she is used. She doesn't really use her skills until a little later, but she does use all her skills from what I can remember. So this is Gallidus' physical attack decrease skill, and as I said, having Eileene on the field could help you offset this, especially when the enemy's Gallidus inflicts that on you. Okay. And another thing that she can help Gallidus with is that when Gallidus hits frozen targets, remember he actually deals extra damage to the entire enemy team, and that is going to be feeding off Eileen's physical attack buff as well, and we're gonna see even more damage from Gallidus, so she is a very suitable hero right now, especially after Gallidus has launched. So she very quickly already has her Awakened skill up. She's gonna use it pretty soon, I hope, if she doesn't fall asleep. So here she uses, remember this has 50% chance to electrify. Manages to electrify about 3 enemies actually, so that is very good. We left scope. Gallidus gonna land the freeze. He lands it on the 3 enemies who were already electrified, so That is a double lockdown. But the good thing is he got his awakened skill up, so here is where the insane damage comes in. Take a look at this. Extra damage, bam. Super painful. And that is also with the help of Eileene. So Eileene is healing pretty well with double HP, so I think that is a pretty good choice for her. Unfortunately, she wasn't able to finish off the entire enemy team. I was hoping she could, just kill off 3 of them. Noah survives and we're gonna finish this off very quickly. And that was it. So I hope you enjoyed this Eileene review video, and hopefully you know how to build her and understand why she is definitely one of the best heroes in the entire game. Go get her right now, go Mythical Awaken her, and stay tuned for more guys, stay tuned for Spike's review. If you enjoyed this video, do give it a like and subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much and see you!